The United States condemns in the strongest terms this outrageous and shocking attack. We're working with the government of Libya to secure our diplomats. I've also directed my administration to increase our security at diplomatic posts around the world. And make no mistake, we will work with the Libyan government to bring to justice the killers who attacked our people.
Joining me now, MSNBC's Richard Wolff and Time International editor Jim Frederick, whose new cover reads, "The Agents of Outrage, an Embassy Attacked, Diplomats Murdered, the New Calculus of Violence Against America." Jim, what is the new calculus?
Well, it goes back to the fact that before the Arab Spring, you had dictators who, might be bad guys, but at least they had a hold on their own countries. I think what we're looking at now is the new calculus is these democracies have flourished, have flowered, but they don't really have good control, security apparatus. Loyalties are changing all the time. You don't really know. Excuse me, even Obama today said that he doesn't know whether he considers Egypt an ally or an enemy. So now you have a much more chaotic environment where you really don't know where the attacks are coming from, and the local security apparatus can't really stop local and spontaneous demonstrations like these quite as well as they used to.
But Richard, what is your sense of how spontaneous this was? First of all, very few of those people could possibly have seen this movie. Right. Richard Engel reported to us today that they were lied to about it, saying that it's a big, important American movie that's going to be shown on 9/11 to the whole country. But still, there's hundreds of people there. At most, reacting to this. And the vast majority, 99% of the people in these countries are not at all perturbed by this movie they're supposed to have heard about.
Right. Well, you don't get many spontaneous demonstrations where people show up with rocket-propelled grenades, so clearly there was something organized about this, maybe opportunistic. Benghazi, though, I've spoken to U.S. diplomats who've been to Benghazi. One thing they talk about is how incredibly grateful the people of Benghazi are to the United States because the United States saved them from slaughter and helped them to overturn and topple this terrible dictatorship that was the Gaddafi regime. So, yes, there's clearly some manipulation. There are strange forces at work in Libya, as there always have been under Gaddafi. The hard work that this embassy staff were engaged with, and surely will continue to be engaged with, is about democracy promotion, civil society. Libya has never been a functioning society, even in the corrupt and dysfunctional ways of the Middle East. And the hard work isn't about toppling the dictator. One thing the Republicans who experienced Iraq should know is that the hard work begins post-regime change, post-dictatorship ending, and that's what we're seeing today. So it is ripe for misfits and miscreants to come in and manipulate the situation, stage these fake demonstrations, and use them as cover for attacks. But there's no reason for the hard work that America's been engaged with to stop.
We're looking at live coverage of the scene just outside the American embassy in Cairo. The crowd seems to have been largely dispersed at this point. I want to go to Jose Diaz-Balart's interview on Telemundo that he taped tonight with President Obama talking about Egypt. Let's listen to that.
Would you consider the current Egyptian regime an ally of the United States?
I don't think that we would consider them an ally, but we don't consider them an enemy. They are a new government that is trying to find its way. They were democratically elected. I think that we are going to have to see how they respond to this incident, how they respond to, for example, maintaining the peace treaty with Israel.
Jim, a new government trying to find its way. There's a new government in Libya trying to find its way. These are unique presidential challenges about how we should find our way in that region.
Yeah, I think President Morsi in Egypt has really got a lot to answer for at the moment because he's been reluctant to come out with any statements condemning the attacks or declaring solidarity with the United States. If anything, as a member of the Muslim Brotherhood, he probably would have been part of the demonstrations himself just a few months ago. So I think it is a new calculus in the Middle East. At least the president of Libya publicly publicly apologized, and you know, as you mentioned as well, the people of Libya and the people of even in Benghazi, there was a spontaneous demonstration today where, you know, local Benghazians demonstrated in favor of the United States with signs in English that apologized. But I think really the biggest problem, because for so long, Mubarak and Egypt, whether or not a dictator, was really the bulwark of American foreign policy in the Middle East. And so to have Egypt be a big question mark and to have Morsi be really missing in action when it comes to having something to say, if he wants to be considered an ally of the United States and the second largest aid recipient of the United States, he needs to come out and say something.
Jim Frederick and Richard Wolff, thank you both for joining me on this breaking news story. Coming up, Rush Limbaugh says that polls showing President Obama in the lead are a liberal conspiracy. I don't know how Rush is going to explain the latest Fox News poll. And John McCain is in the rewrite tonight. In the United States Senate today, he taught Mitt Romney a lesson.
What's truly amazing about Mercedes' new Embrace 2 system is I can follow all my sports, catch the latest breaking news, keep in touch with friends, follow the financial headlines, find a great restaurant. And with SiriusXM, I can get weather forecasts. All from here in my Mercedes-Benz.
Introducing Embrace 2, the most comprehensive, cloud-based telematics system on the road. It's your world from your car. Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing.
This country was built by working people.
The economy needs manufacturing.
Machines, tools, people making stuff.
Companies have to invest in making things. Infrastructure, construction, production.
We need it now more than ever.
Chevron's putting more than $8 billion back in the U.S. economy this year in pipes, cement, steel, jobs, energy.
We need to get the wheels turning.
I'm proud of that. Making real things.
For real.
That make a real difference.
At Purina One, we believe small things can make a big difference, like how a little oil from here can be such a big thing in an old friend's life. We discovered that by blending enhanced botanical oils into our food, we can help brighten an old dog's mind so he's up to his old tricks. It's just one way Purina One is making the world a better place, one pet at a time. Discover vibrant maturity and more at PurinaOne.com.
Last night on his show, Bill O'Reilly sounded panicked. He was actually saying that Mitt Romney has to call President Obama a socialist and do it all the time. Maybe it's because Bill O'Reilly knew what was in the Fox News poll that came out today, showing President Obama in a real lead over Mitt Romney. We're going to have that poll for you later.
This is Rudy. His morning starts with arthritis pain and 2 pills. Afternoon's overhaul starts with more pain, more pills. Triple checking hydraulics, the evening brings more pain, so back to more pills. Almost done when, hang on, Stan's doctor recommended Aleve. It can keep pain away all day with fewer pills than Tylenol. This is Rudy, who switched to Aleve and 2 pills for a day free of pain.
And try Aleve for relief from tough headaches.
The crossover. We have the technology to rebuild it. SkyActiv technology makes it better than it was before. With the best highway NPG of any SUV, even hybrids. The 2013 Mazda CX-5 will be that crossover. Better, stronger, smarter. We build Mazdas. What do you drive?
Is there an important piece missing from your portfolio? Spider ETFs can help you fill it. Before investing, consider the fund's investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses. Call 1-866-787-2257 for a prospectus containing this information. Read it carefully.
I think I know how Mitt Romney will approach foreign policy. He will be very cautious. He will think about America's interest first. He will apply a decision-making process that relies very heavily on facts, and he will distrust the State Department.
That expert on foreign policy and the State Department had no idea who the ambassador to Libya was before Chris Stevens was killed on the job. Republicans like Newt Gingrich never miss a moment to take swipes at people working in the State Department and government workers generally. They say things about them that they would never say about people working in the Defense Department, people who wear our military uniforms, even though they are government workers too. People like Gingrich and Mitt Romney, both of whom never once considered enlisting in the military, are not just publicly respectful of our military government workers, they are publicly in awe of them. They are relentlessly reverential when they speak of our men and women in uniform. That reverence is born of the fact that our soldiers and sailors and Marines and airmen so frequently put themselves in harm's way, willingly and bravely risk their lives. People like Gingrich and Romney, who would never consider doing a dangerous job, seem to think that the only government workers who risk their lives are the ones who wear uniforms. Tonight they know better. Tonight, their understanding of how dangerous life can be in the State Department has been rewritten in blood, the blood of Sean Smith and Ambassador Chris Stevens. There is a Republican who didn't have to be taught this lesson the hard way. He knew who the ambassador to Libya was before he was killed. And that Republican rose on the Senate floor today where he proudly called Chris Stevens his friend.
It's with a heavy heart that I rise today to speak about the horrific attack yesterday on the U.S. consulate in Benghazi that killed 4 American citizens. The 2 confirmed thus far to be among the dead are Sean Smith, an Air Force veteran turned State Department Information Management Officer, and Ambassador Chris Stevens, one of America's finest and bravest Foreign Service officers. I didn't know Sean Smith. I know he's a great American who served his country. But I'd gotten to know Chris Stevens quite well. And in Ambassador Chris Stevens' death, the Libyan people have lost a great champion and believer in the peaceful aspirations of their democratic revolution. The American people have lost a selfless and dedicated servant of our interests and our values. And I have lost a friend. My thoughts and prayers today are with Chris's family and the loved ones of his fallen colleagues. May God grant them comfort in their time of grief. One of my most memorable meetings with Chris Stevens was last April in Benghazi. As a U.S. envoy to the Libyan opposition, Chris had traveled to Benghazi at great personal risk to represent the country that he loved so much while Libya was still gripped in a brutal fight for freedom. It was clear there was nowhere that Chris would rather have been than Libya. We spent the day together, meeting Libyan opposition leaders and many ordinary citizens who spoke movingly about how much the opportunity to finally live in freedom meant to them and how grateful they were for America's support. Chris Stevens embodied that support, and his passion for his mission was infectious. I kept in touch with him often and frequently after my visit. I was very happy when President Obama nominated him to be America's ambassador to the new Libya. The last time I saw Chris Stevens was shortly after he had taken up his post during my most recent visit to Tripoli. The sorrow that we and all Americans feel at the loss of a brave and dedicated American. But it'll be a long time before we forget Chris Stevens, because he will stand as a shining example of patriotism and love of country. Chris Stevens was not unaware of the danger that he faced. He was privy to intelligence, information, and others. But he went forward and did his job with a smile, with love of his country and love of the country where he was serving. I cannot be more proud of Ambassador Chris Stevens.